So as the topic goes, so we are continuing with applications of machine learning in crop production. So what are the possibilities? Like I said, is just imagine whatever imagination we can think out and bring out a lot of possibility that we cannot exhaust them, but we are going to try to just open the floor for discussion and see how it goes. So last week we started by looking at a brief introduction to the use of AI and machine learning in agriculture. We look at the case of predictive machine learning solutions, and then we discuss some possibilities in this respect. And especially we took ourselves through the very important procedures, that is data collection, which is very, very important. And I said that we should not limit ourselves to collecting data from people. Of course, if we can get ready-made data, this is better. But sometimes you just keep waiting. So we say, okay, why don't we come up with smart way of getting data sets with Google Forms possibility now? You can actually gather data from current farmers. Even if you are not a farmer, you can talk to farmers around you and help them get data and then incorporate it in some of the forms that we might be building to gather data, because data is very important. That's why we say let the data speak. Without data set, then you might not be able to do anything to take benefit of this unique area of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we discussed this extensively last week, data collection procedure, and we can do it, and the kind of data set we can gather. Then we move to how do we build a model, which we already use. We already know how to do that. Said we can either go for classification and we can also go for regression. And sometimes we may have to have multi-stage solution. Multi-stage means at the beginning, you might have to do classification. After the classification, then the next stage, you have to do regression. And sometimes you have multiple regression and classification solution interwoven within each other. So depending on the problem we are solving. And then we discuss extensively on the expected result. What are we expecting to add to the system based on what we have? And then, so we now say, okay, today we are going to look into other possibilities we can be looking at. So we're going to take them one after the other and then see how far we can go before we move to the question and answer section, which is very, very important so that we can all rub our mind together. So the first one we are taking today is crop monitoring and disease detection. So this is very, very important. We want to monitor after planting. So we don't want to wait for disaster to strike. And then we start trying to solve the problem. Often it is too late. Before disease outbreak, the plants will have been suffering something before you see them very conspicuous, as you can see here. Before it goes to this level, can we detect earlier, actually? This is the idea of crop monitoring and disease detection. So we call something preemptive detection. Preemptive, that is detecting a problem before the symptoms appear. Before these symptoms, definitely these crops must have been suffering some things in silence. Before something will affect leaf like this, it must have been inside the crop system of circulation so that before it finally could make the leaf to be destroyed like this. So preemptive diagnosis or preemptive detection, we detect it before it gets worse. Because at this level, sincerely, if care is not taken, there is rather nothing that could be done to stop it. It will have been spreading among the plants. So using machine learning-based predictive solution, we can be able to preemptively diagnose it before the symptom actually start. So we can use it to, apart from using it to on the crop monitoring, to estimate the crop yields. We can also use it to diagnose plant diseases and pests and then optimize the plant growth. So as they say that prevention is better than cure. So which kind of data set can we have? Apart from using, see, a lot of technology that, yes, we can use, like using drone to look at the plant to make sure they're fine. But then can we use what I usually like to work on? I call it preemptive. So you preempt the problem actually. So that is try to imagine that a problem, detect the problem before it actually takes place. You see, this is very, very important because other than now, by the time the symptoms are very apparent, the deed is already done. The damages must have been done. So can we actually detect it earlier enough based on the historical data set? We can be able to map out that this particular plant might suffer from so disease, or as the case may be. So this is called crop monitoring and disease detection. So one area that we might have to look into, subject to the availability of data set, and we have to imagine which kind of data set we can actually use in this scenario. Yeah. So in the preemptive detection of disease, we can use the ML machine learning based model to identify potential disease outbreaks. So potential disease outbreak could be identified before they actually take place. This is actually a game changer, just like we have it in the case of medical diagnosis, where you try to diagnose disease before they actually happen. Because in the principle of disease progression, so when the disease strikes a plant or an animal or even human being, it takes time before the symptom actually become apparent. By the time the symptoms start coming out, it is always late. It has destroyed the underlying system of such plant or animal. So the idea is to preemptively say that, oh, these plants are going to suffer from it. In fact, they are suffering from it already, but we have not seen the symptom. Then treatment could be prescribed at the very early stage. It is generally agreed upon in disease monitoring that early detection allows farmers to take preventive measures, reducing the need for chemical intervention. Sometimes by the time you start applying chemicals, some of the chemicals are so powerful that even the yield will be affected finally. So can we detect at the very early stage whereby we don't need to go to the extent of using chemical physically on the plant, thereby minimizing the crop losses and also some of the potential hazard of chemical utilization. So that is one of the very unique capability or opportunity that preemptive monitoring of disease outbreak in plant can bring on the table. And this also has been done in the case of human being, where we also try to use preemptive diagnosis for some of the chronic diseases. Then we have what we call the precision agriculture. So whereby machine learning algorithm could be used to process data from sensors, GPS, and other sources in order to provide insight into soil conditions, the moisture level, we have enough water, and the nutrient content of the soil, thereby allowing for precise resource management, when to provide nutrients supplement, where to provide more water, or maybe the soil is having some deficiency. Precision agriculture made it possible for us to monitor all this kind of system and be able to take proactive decision to prevent disasters. We have also what we call the weather prediction and yield forecasting. So monitoring the weather condition is very important because this will definitely have impact on the crop production finally. So we said through accurate prediction of weather, robust machine learning workflows can be built to forecast crop yields. So as the case may be. Then we have the weed and pest control. Again, in this scenario, we can use series of advanced machine learning methods like image segmentation and classification. So using this, pest and weed infestation can be detected and classified based on observed patterns in the image data that has been collected. And also the predictive models can then identify potential pest outbreaks. So before it actually happens, we want to predict that there's going to be pest outbreak in this farm, based on historical data set. This is something that is possible. So by analyzing the environmental conditions, because when we had the pest outbreak last time, what were the conditions in the atmosphere that facilitated them to grow, to come up? So often than not, we ignore those information, and they are readily available in data sets. So this is why we have to take advantage of the power of data. And that's why we say, let the data speak. Let the data speak. So all these, let the data speak. All those kind of disaster that often struck before, that destroy several thousands or millions of acres of land, they are embedded in data set. So can we take advantage of those data set availability to prevent such reoccurrence, so that we can do that, what we call early detection, which also is similar to the preemptive diagnosis or preventive detection. So to allow farmers to take preventive measures, thereby there will be need to reduce or even prevent the use of chemical intervention, thereby minimizing the crop losses and related problem with our crop production. So predictive model that can support preemptive diagnosis of when weed and pest control will become very imminent is another way that we can look into, so that our farmers could be advised that, okay, I think might be an outbreak of pest in this area. How did you know? Well, based on the data available to us, the last time somebody farmed on this land, these are some of the challenges, some of the weather conditions that favor those pests are already available now. So for sure, they are most likely going to come. And these are possibility, but these days people just farm without all this kind of information. I want to believe these are some of the areas that people need to beam light on towards facilitating better crop production while avoiding effort loss. Then we also have the harvest timing and quality monitoring. So what's the appropriate time for you to harvest, and the quality of the plant, which can also be extended to what we call automated harvesting also, could be used in some cases. So in this sense, we say predictive solution can help determine the optimal timing for harvest. So what is the best time to harvest? Usually we depend on the experience of farmers. These are human beings, you know. Okay, I think this is okay. I think this is time to harvest this. Why don't we take advantage of the available data? Data will precisely be able to predict for you that this plant, so plant with this kind of characteristics is due for harvest at so date. So this kind of condition can really result in optimal timing for harvest by considering factors such as crop maturity, weather conditions, and market demand. So this will ensure that the crops are harvested at the peak quality and also the market value, which is very important to our farmers, so that they can also gain from their effort and labor they have put in place. And sometimes also machine learning driven robotics could also be using reinforcement learning, can be used to automate farm harvest, leading to enhanced efficiency while reducing the labor where it is necessary. Of course, you know, in some areas we have enough labor, that is fine, but sometimes at the expense of, because of lack of labor, enough labor, you see a lot of plant gets to wastage because they are not harvested at the right time. So automated machine learning driven robotics could be also deployed in such cases. Then we also have the crop recommendation system, another possible application of machine learning in crop production. Crop recommendation systems. Here, say technology based on the crop recommendation system for agriculture helps the farmers to increase the crop yield by recommending suitable crop for their land. So when you run enough machine learning modeling, then you'll be able to know, okay, which plant is suitable for this land. So bearing in mind the geographical information, the climatic parameters, soil characteristics also could be considered. All these put together can be used to ensure that we have very effective crop recommendation system. so that when you try, you see, when people try to build a house or factory, you have to do a lot of soil tests. Unfortunately for crop production, people just open up land and start planting. See, this is not supposed to be. We have to also carry out some tests, and based on historical data sets, looking at the climatic makeup of the place, the slope of the place, a lot of simple data set that can help us to actually predict which kind of plant might be appropriate for such kind of land, based on kind of soil test that has been carried out in the past. See, so these days people just waste a lot of efforts. They have to be forcing a lot of fertilizer, chemicals to push up the production by force. No, this is like this is a late approach to forcing your plant to grow bigger. It's not just at the end of the day become very unhealthy. Within 2-3 days, these crops are already melting up because chemicals are practically used to boost them up. No, can we start from the beginning? Recommend appropriate plant that should be planted in a particular farm. Yeah, we have to do soil science. We don't have the money. But what we are saying is, based on historical data set or some of the characteristics of the soil, then machine learning can easily predict which kind of plant might grow better in these areas. These are possibilities that already are being used. Then, similar to the crop recommendation is what we call the crop rotation planning. Yeah, you know, crop rotation is one of the very basic and very interesting system of agriculture that we were taught while we were in school. So fortunate today that a lot of school children are not being taught how agriculture is no more compulsory. I was made to know it's a very big mistake that I hope they will have to revisit. At least the minimum, everybody should be able, passing through school should be able to know basic of agriculture. Because this is very basic. Behind your house, you can plant. Beside your house, you can plant things. Students should be encouraged to plant things and practicalize it right from their houses, little farm experiment, so that it will be recorded in the psyche of people. You cannot hit money. Finally, you still have to go back to the market to purchase what you are going to eat. So why don't you plant it yourself? See? So crop rotation used to be one of the very popular topics they taught us then when we were growing in schools. So whereby you can plant some crops that have natural, that will produce natural nutrient for the soil. Then you move them to the another soil, another space. You now plant some, you have some plant that cannot generate soil, that they will need the nutrient generated by previous crops. You move it there. Very nice idea. So you keep rotating. So every year you are planting on the same land and it will be producing well, because you are rotating it based on the characteristics of the plant. See? So today with predictive analytics, a lot of recommendation can be made for crop rotation plan to, based on historical yield data, can base it on historical yield data and soil health, very important. This can definitely help prevent soil degradation. See, we all know what is soil degradation. So when you use soil too much, then by the time you plant something there, so it will not produce any yield anymore. So, however, with properly planned crop rotation, you always ensure that the plant that you are planting there is the one that will even make the plant, the soil to become even better after you move to another place. Because each plant comes with their own differences and characteristics. So this way definitely enhance nutrient balance. See, nutrient balance is very important. And also reduce the risk of diseases associated with monoculture. Monoculture, that is when you keep planting the same plant on the same land for several times, rather than you now start putting fertilizer. No, we don't always need to rely on fertilizer. There's nothing you can compare to natural nutrient in the soil. And there are plants that can produce such natural nutrient in the soil. So plant them on this land, move them to another place, and bring in another plant to use such nutrient produced by the previous plant season, and then this continue. So, but these days we just rely on using all this kind of fertilizer, extremely chemicals, just to produce the yield. What is the benefit of producing yield that would deteriorate? You still need to put preservatives to prevent a plant from spoiling in your store. But the moment somebody buys it and takes it home, it starts spoiling immediately. It's not good for health. So these are things that natural procedures supported with the effective use of machine learning can actually prevent some of these disaster. Because I call it disaster because in the name of trying to produce high yield, we ended up giving people a lot of chemicals, genetically modified things that are not good for health. So this is another challenge totally that I want to believe with proper utilization of crop recommendation using machine learning, a lot of things could be achieved, or prevention, which they say is better than cure. The next one is supply chain optimization. Supply chain optimization, also here, machine learning-based predictive analytics can be applied to optimize the agricultural supply chain, which is very, very important. A lot of plants get spoiled. At some parts of during some part of the seasons, like tomato became so much available that they'll be throwing it away, just even begging people to come and take it. But another part of the season, another type of the part of the year, very difficult to get it. What can we do? Can't we have predictive solution that can estimate the amount of production that will come from this city, so we can plan to transfer it to another city, a lot of things that can be done using properly optimized supply chain system, so that farmers and stakeholders, they can anticipate demand, where the demand is going to come in. They can streamline logistics and reduce food wastage by aligning production with market requirement. There's something I call something bidirectional. We build a system for renewable energy. See, bidirectional optimization system, whereby you look at what is the estimated, use predictive solution to predict the amount of crop that will be needed by a particular district. You see, predict how much of those crops can be produced by this district. Another district here also estimate the kind of production they can make, and also what is their need. So when I have it, if I predict that this place is going to have excess production, and then I can have a plan ahead of time to see how we can move the excess here to this place. Because we found out that this one is going to produce less. Their need is going to be more than their production. So we can quickly channel the excess from this place to another place. So this kind of bidirectional predictive solution can assist supply chain optimization system so that we'll be able to avoid food wastage while align the food to the appropriate place where they are needed in the economy of any nation or internation. So also machine learning can be used to account for uncertainty, variability, and constraint in inventory decisions and provide real-time updates and recommendations. Yeah, a lot of these have been used already. A lot of conglomerates on how machine learning can help them to optimize their supply chain system. So why can't we also use it in crop production, sales and management? So we also have what we call the resource allocation and management in agriculture. Here also we said the predictive models can optimize the allocation of resources, including labor, machinery, and inputs based on anticipated needs throughout the crop production cycle. So this is very important. This for sure will improve the overall operational efficiency and cost effectiveness of the crop production system. Also, machine learning can also help farmers to manage their soil and water resources more effectively through necessary predictive solutions. So by using either regression and classification algorithms to predict soil and water status, and then what is going to be the water needs in this particular farm. If the present water needs enough, do we need to channel from another source? If you have information ahead of time, we can take effective decisions that can prevent disaster from happening. This is the very, very important preventive system, or what I call proactive agriculture. Proactive agriculture. Proactive. So whereby proactively we can have information that is necessary ahead of time. We don't wait for things to go wrong before we actually take decision. So with appropriate information at our disposal, we can take decision that can actually either based on weather challenges that can come. We have information beforehand, then we can be able to have a lot of crop models, soil maps that can be used to actually assist us in advising our farmers appropriately. So the resources are efficiently allocated and managed appropriately. So moving further also, we have the smart irrigation system. So we have smart irrigation also driven by AI and machine learning algorithms that are being used to efficiently manage water in agriculture, taking into account the weather and soil moisture. So you don't want to do irrigation when the soil is already saturated with enough water. So we have a system to detect it. So I need to set alarm when the water is getting dry in the soil. So you don't need to station somebody there. This can be automated appropriately. The system will set alarm, and also the system also will trigger. That's why now we are talking of smart farms. So people are coming up with smart farms where most of the system are automated based on machine learning predictive solution that will determine the moisture content of the soil is low. We need to put in water. The moisture content now is okay. We need to stop the water from coming to avoid waterlog. And also stuff that usually when you use human being to monitor it, maybe they fell asleep, somebody need to attend to his family, somebody need to attend to himself. So machine can actually support system in this direction. So they are being used already for efficiently manage water in agriculture, taking into account the soil moisture. Also, predictive solution can optimize irrigation schedules by analyzing soil moisture level, the weather forecast, and the crop water requirement. Imagine a situation whereby we can forecast that there is going to be rain in the next 2 hours. So if there's going to be rain in the next 2 hours, then there's no need for you to carry out irrigation 1 hour before the rain. Then you can delay it a little bit. That is why information is live. So having a kind of advanced information that, okay, there's going to be rain, then there is no need to go and irrigate your plant at that particular 1 hour before the rain. Let's wait for the rain. So, but if you don't know, you just finish irrigation and then the rain is starting. So then, apart from being wastage, there is going to also, it might also affect the plant. That's the risk of having waterlog. So this kind of thing, predictive solution can actually assist us to avoid a lot of disastrous consequence if they are appropriately annexed and effectively deployed in irrigation practices. So moving forward, we also have the drought prediction and management, which we call weather risk management. This is very, very important. So can we use predictive models to analyze historical weather patterns and the current forecast to assess potential weather-related risk so that we don't wait many times in the past? Remember, maybe last year people planted maize, few weeks after that, months after they were expecting rain. There was 1 or 2 rains, then it stopped. People used the first few rains to plant they planted a lot of things. Then when the rain stopped, then it became a crisis. Imagine somebody who had acres of land. They had no preparation for irrigation. They were waiting, they planted for rain only. And then the rain ceased for almost 1 month or 2 months. So the whole maize died off. Look at the wasted human energy, human power. Look at the wasted seeds. And so many other things they have deployed to their particular farm. So having drought prediction and management system, we are allowed to that. Yeah, we know we have rain starting from so months. However, it's no guarantee. Anything can go wrong. So why don't we have a weather forecasting system that can tell us ahead of time that, hey, there is going to be rain. After that, there's going to be drought. It's a possibility. It's not magic. No, it is data. There will be something that's happening on the sea that is saying that there's not likely to be rain for now. So we can take decision. Okay, you want to go ahead with your farm, then you have to provide irrigation capability for them, because we cannot afford to wait since the rain is not going to come ahead of time. But at least people will be aware of what is likely going to be risk that is involved. So a lot of people planted things and then they ran into huge loss because of lack of this kind of capability. Hopefully, with effective deployment of this kind of a system, we can be able to implement risk management strategies, such as adjusting planting schedules. We have to adjust our planting schedules, or investing in protective measures, or even using resilient crop. There are some crops that even when there's a certain drought for some few weeks, those crops can cope. But then we don't plan for it, we never expected it, and then it came suddenly. Then it become a disaster. So we say machine learning models are increasingly being used for drought forecasting due to the ability to identify complex patterns and relationship with the data. So this model learn patterns from historical climate and hydrological data, and then use the knowledge to predict future drought conditions, when there's going to be drought, for how long is it going to be, and then we can be able to plan ahead of time in what I call proactive agriculture or proactive crop production. So if you have information ahead of time, you can be able to plan, prevent disaster, and hopefully take full advantage of this kind of unique capability of machine learning and artificial intelligence, as the case may be. Next time, we're going to start from crop quality assessment using machine learning, another area whereby we can also deploy machine learning predictive models and other AI capability towards improving crop production system. Thank you very much, and then wish you all the best.